We answered a G1 very early in the shift, probably 10 to 10. We'd finished with that and then we heard this coming out, which was female stuck in the river. Because I'm a public order medic, I tend to try to go to those calls because I can put some of those skills to use at those sorts of calls. The location pass was Hill Eithrim, which is a road. We didn't really know where it was. We drove up and down the road initially trying to find a river, and we couldn't. And then we found a couple of members of the public who seemed to be calling. So we said, are you looking for somebody in the river? And they said yes. So as we got close, we could hear somebody pleading for help. We sort of got very, very close to the edge of the river. There was quite a sheer drop from what I could make out. Obviously it was very dark. I just had my little torch with me. So I could see a male who at that point was laying prone in the river. His head was under the water, and I could see a female in the middle of the river on her knees. When I shone the torch across her, she was obviously covered in blood, but I didn't think she was in any danger of getting washed away or anything, but she was on her knees sort of shouting to help. I'd sort of made the assumption that at that point he was dead or dying, and I thought that she had some pretty serious injuries, but she was screaming and talking to me, so I was concerned about him. I was obviously concerned about her, but I needed to get to him to start doing some sort of CPR, some sort of first aid. There was a large tree, and I've gone to the right of that, and I could just see that was sheer onto rocks below. To the left of it, it was very overgrown, but I could see what looked to me like a gap in the bushes that were there. So I assumed that was like a very steep path. I've taken my tack vest off, I've put that by the tree. I've sat on the edge with my legs over my hands as I'm sat down, thinking I'm going to push myself down a path, and if you'd like, sort of slide down. As I've pushed myself and my hands have come away, I can feel that my legs aren't touching anything. My back is no longer touching anything, and I'm falling. The next thing I remember is being on my hands and knees. Initially, until I got to the top, I didn't realise that I'd been knocked out. I realised at that point that I'd left my torch in my tack vest that was up the top, but I had my phone on me. I had to put my iPhone onto a rock to try and create some sort of light. It wasn't really creating any light. PC McCourt, for a little while, was holding the torch. I said, look, can you shine the torch down? But she was having to meet colleague, partner agencies to try and show them where we were. So I've moved the gentleman who had fallen. I lifted him out of the water and just tried to find some rock that was above the water so I could try and put his head. When I pulled him up, I could see that he had a horrific head injury. Because the concussion times are a bit hazy, but I think it was probably 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes before fire service have turned up. They've seen the gradient of the slope, and they've chosen to not come down without rope and abseil. I've tried to stand up and realised at this point I can't. I've got a very, very bad pain in my hip. On my back is very painful. One of the paramedics has taken me to one side and said, where have you fallen from? Or what's happened? I said, I've fallen. She said, where have you fallen from? And I said, there. And she's gone, there? Yeah, right, stay where you are, stay still. And she said, look, I think you've really damaged your hip. I think you've damaged your back. So you're going to have to be winched out. And I knew the stick that I was going to get for being winched out by the fire service. My daughter, who was 4 at the time, she saw me in the hospital. She sort of cried and got very upset. And I think that night, it kind of put into perspective that it's not just me anymore. I would do the same thing again, but obviously when you've got kids and a wife back home, it's a lot to think about, really.